That's how we make progress, is by challenging.
But with scientific validation, progress that you make is just those stories backed up with the illusion of science. By saying theory and testing, contextually experimentation, something you don't have. You've never done an experiment in your life, you've never formulated a theory. You certainly haven't got a viable hypothesis. We ask for that daily too. You use these words after getting memos about what you will and won't be disseminating via the propaganda today from your paid government-affiliated agency. Was commissioned and paid for and narrated by the people who are paying all of these parties, you being one of them, to shill this shit.
Are there laws of physics to explain?
Laws of physics? What, like the second law of thermodynamics? Oh dear love, that was probably the worst possible thing you could say. Laws of the physical? What, like laws of nature? Oh, right, like the first law of thermodynamics, like energy can't be created or destroyed. Energy and matter. Like completely violating your entire worldview that all of the matter and energy of the world came out of nothing. That's a law of physics, as you described it. A law of nature. It's called the first law of thermodynamics. What about the second law of thermodynamics? That's entropy law. About gas filling spaces. Entropic increases, dispersion. That's a law of physics. Were you unaware of that? Oh, of course, because you've got an oxymoron sphere-shaped air that's not in any way sitting in line with laws of physics. Right, love? You don't know anything about laws of physics because you'd appreciate that most of what you said defied the second law. Final thoughts. She's a Dumbo. She's a paid shill by NASA. Too thick to realise what a useful idiot she is, while she deludes herself with ideas of having to pay off government officials as she counts her little coins that NASA literally pay her to shill this shit. She's never been to space, she can't, it's a violation of natural law, but she's more than happy to punt it if a memo says that that's what the world is. She doesn't have to be forced or coerced in any way. Just needs to send her an email and a paycheck.
I guess it's kind of fun because the graphics are cool and you can shift things around and...
Well, they're cool because NASA made them that way. So you could react to them. So it's cool that someone was paid a significant amount of money to build this straw man for me to burn. That's pretty cool.
But they would say, I can understand why someone would make the mistake that the Earth is flat. So they're taking away that you're stupid. But then they say, but with a bit of research, you would find out that it's not. In other words, we're not stupid, but we're not smart enough to actually do the research. The Earth presents itself as stationary and horizontal, so they can't call you stupid. But what they will do is make you out to be somebody who just didn't do enough research or are listening to the wrong people, like Danny Faulkner, with his rubbish. I can answer any question. It's just all these questions, people are getting the answers from the wrong people. This rubbish. Then when he's asked the question about the gas pressure, he has no answer. None of these people ever address one of us. They only ever address the straw man arguments, but then they can't call you stupid, but they can say you're stupid enough, or naive enough to be led. That's all. It's just another one of those videos.
Fine by me. We've put the shoe on the other foot in the last, 6 months. Now we're doing it to them, to call us stupid when she's reacting to a sponsored video and model that's been commissioned by the people who are paying her to shill this shit. You're stupid, love. I'll give you the reason why I'm calling you stupid too. Because you just described laws of physics. And if you had a slightest clue about laws of nature, you'd know what entropic law was. Taught in universities. I've got plenty of clips of university professors disseminating this information to people far more intelligent than you. Now, if you would have paid attention to the laws of physics, aka laws of nature, sometimes called laws of science to grease the skids of people who want to use descriptions and claim the magic trick of science. She didn't do that, but what she did do was be incredibly ignorant about the laws of nature. that she cited, she mentioned. Didn't you, love? So I will call her thick. I'll call her a, quote, useful idiot. So you've been paid to punt this shit because you're too dumb to understand it. Too dumb to understand when you quote laws of physics that you're violating them with your sky vacuum. And your sun, which is what, gas? Not expanding into the vacuum also. Your entire model's a sham. But you're thick. You're just too stupid to realise, so you've been handpicked and screened based on how thick you are, how malleable you are, how likely you are to parrot off a memo. Or not parrot off your rhetoric that you've been taught because a memo tells you not to. You were handpicked for your ignorance and stupidity level. That's why you're doing this. Don't want people too bright to realise that they're being used to punt the lies and nonsense of heliocentric religions. You want proper thickos. They won't ever realise how dumb they are. So thick and Dunning-Kruger that they'll cite the very laws of nature that are debunking them. That's the kind of retard you really need at NASA. This girl. That's what you need. Proper idiots. See how easy that was, Brian. Really easy to call them dumb. Because they are. Thick. She's thick. And I'm happy to call it her.
Yeah, isn't it? She at least presents herself that way. Whether she's totally thick or not, she presents herself that way.
Serious self thinks that's not fun at all because it has a real downside in that it makes people believe that anything could be true.
What, like NASA believe that you could go to the moon, a light in the sky, or go to Mars, a light in the sky, or that the sky is a vast, ever-expanding vacuum area of volume for gas to fill. That sort of shite. Yet people who are dumb, like you, love, they will believe any old shite that they get a memo about. And they'll even cite the very laws that debunk them without researching them, like you did. Yeah, people are dumb enough to do that, love. You are that example, though, not me. Not this straw man that a colleague put together for you either. Go ahead.
She has a point there. There is certain people in the flat earth community who do believe anything is possible. Like free energy, ether, not being able to do anything with an angle.
Why does it seem that Nathan's against all the flat earthers? Was a extremist comment that I got. I'm like, no, we don't do anything different regardless of who comes through the front door here. Talk shit, expect pain. Talk nonsense, expect us to pull it apart based on its nonsense. It doesn't matter if you're a flat earther in denial, like Bev, or a globe believer like Extremistus himself. It doesn't matter if you're a NASA employee or a concave earther. If you come here and talk absolute nonsense, it's going to get ripped apart. There is no prejudice here. So when people are like, oh, why is Nathan attacking flat earthers? I'm not. Because the whole notion of a flat earther, to me, is kind of ludicrous to begin with. I'll label myself of it so society understands my position without me having to explain it. But that's about as useful as it gets for me. Because the fact that the Earth, not me, not my position, not my politics, the Earth is obviously observably, measurably and navigatably flat, has no bearing on me as an individual. That's just how the world is. So I don't care if there's a group or categorised group of people who are out there and claiming to be the same as me. They're not. If they're talking nonsense about, I don't know, rotating suns or ice walls or ether or free energy or not being able to do anything with an angle. These people are idiots and they will have their bum smacked the same as anybody else that comes here. Globe belief or otherwise. Doesn't matter. There's no prejudice. Talk shit. Expect it to be pulled apart.
To be a killjoy, but this kind of thing can lead to people thinking, well, I don't need to get vaccinated, you know.
Oh, right. You're telling me that flat Earth leads people to decide not to get vaccinations? Where the hell did that come from? That sounds very much like something that would be written down on a memo as an afterthought to be put in this video precisely 1 year ago. I mean, what was going on a year ago? Was it COVID? Seems a strange connection that are NASA astronomers mentioning that you should be getting your COVID jibby jab. I mean, I'm just saying, it's not like that's somehow been propagandized into the information that you're disseminating about how Earth isn't flat. Obviously, there's a direct connection to vaccinations there, isn't there?
Getting
and she wouldn't be saying it now because that wouldn't be part of the memo now.
It wouldn't be part of the current rhetoric, that's right. It's not of high priority at the moment. It wasn't on the memo if she was doing this today. Yeah. But she's, like I say, Too stupid to realise that she is that shill, not the made-up government official straw man you love, you and your paycheck. You and your dumb blonde nature that's been taken advantage of by people much smarter than you when they literally just tell you what to do and you do it.
Save lives. It could be your
That's
own
the
life.
one that, I find that quite enlightening, isn't it? She's made a bit like the ballers do. She makes the claim that who would be enough to do these things. You point out she's paid, but with that one comment, at what point did that have any relevancy? You know, that's going into health advice, something that, do you know what I mean? Yet she's now empowered to make that comment. Any rational person, after they've said, I'm not shilling for the government, put simply, to then make a comment so far out of the field, which is to cast an aspersion at people that aren't compliant with government new think. You really are a bit of a bimbo, love. I didn't like you using that word, but that is a really dumb thing to present.
Just for the benefit of this astronomer, Adam, can you just, in case she gets shared this video, can you tell her what you do, please?
Yeah, I'm a pharmacist. So
dealing with vaccinations, right?
Yes, previously I have, yeah.
Right. So you've got a horse in this race then, you've got an opinion to have on it. Would you ever, if you were at a convention on this topic, hypothetically speaking, would you in any way value the opinion of this bimbo, if she was there talking on the subject, and connecting anti-flat earthism with strawman models to anti-vaxxers, which I am definitely not associated with? Would you pay any credence as a man of medicine to what this woman said just now?
No, I think if she was in that room, I think most of the clinicians would be very dubious about anybody that's inciting some kind of intellectual inferiority on somebody on their own clinical choice.
I mean, this is borderline a breach of the YouTube terms of service, if you ask me.
Yeah.
This is an astronomer casting aspersions in terms of people's decisions about medicine. Why hasn't this been banned from YouTube? This skirts the lines of being outside of the terms of service, as far as I can tell.
And I think the idea of throwing in the little thing about flat earthers being against vaccines was to kind of say, well, if they're wrong about these things, they're likely wrong about the vaccines as well, you know, this kind of thing. You know, and like the anti-vaxxers there was vaccination people everywhere in the world, and there has been since the start of COVID, and they weren't all flat earthers.
She's tarring us with a brush that I don't like being tarred. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. Well, we don't claim that. That's not our assertion. Can't remember what it was now. Maybe someone will put it in the comment section after the fact and timestamp it and go, yeah, she bundles in with flat earthers, that is, in with this group, politically prejudicing them for whatever reason. And now she's doing it with anti-vaxxers. So what the hell next?
Nathan, the rules do not apply to them. The rules only apply to us.
Certainly seems that way.
I want to be really clear that I have no objection to alternative theories. Theory, again, is something that's been tested.
Alternative theory being something that's tested. Is the next two words out of her mouth going to be by experiment?
Tested and tested and tested.
No. The testing is the experiment. The theory is what you develop after one or multiple of experiments. So it's natural phenomena, hypothesis construction, actualization of hypothesis, aka experimentation, then theory. Now she's flipping between a colloquial use of a downplayed, it's just their colloquial theory, aka their vague idea about what the world might be. And I've got no problem with people having vague ideas of what the world could be. But she's also using theory when she objected to people theorizing, because that word's special. Yes, special for you as a bloody magician, because you don't have any theories to back the shit that you punt. None. It's a bloody outrage. But here she is again saying, I don't mind people having these flat earth theories. You don't know what the words are. It's words you don't know what it means, love. Contextualised within science, theory comes after experiment. You wouldn't know that. You're that useful idiot being paid, aren't you, love? The one that you thought would be a government official while you grin? No, you're here to be that smiling bimbo face that tells the world that you represent the consensus because you had a memo from someone paying you.
That's how we make progress, is by challenging.
But with scientific validation, progress that you make is just those stories backed up with the illusion of science. By saying theory and testing, contextually experimentation, something you don't have. You've never done an experiment in your life, you've never formulated a theory. You certainly haven't got a viable hypothesis. We ask for that daily too. You wouldn't know a hypothesis if it slapped you in the face. But you're more than welcome to use these words after getting memos about what you will and won't be disseminating via the propaganda today from your paid government-affiliated agency.
Challenging conventional ideas with new ideas, and then
That's not what testing results in. Empiricism, if you're following the scientific method. That's not what you're doing though, eh, love?
and looking for which is the stronger idea.
No. If you've done testing, you've got validated experimental data. That's violated if you're making up little stories rather than going with the empirical outcome of a test. But you don't have any empirical tests. When you say testing, testing, testing to get the best generalised story that I can spin, no, tests give you empirical outcomes. The way it gives you an empirical outcome, just to educate your dumbass, is to have a hypothesis in place before you test. You know, you said testing, testing, testing? Yeah, that would be if A, then B. A being your supposition of cause, B being the natural phenomena you're trying to induce. You're trying to figure out the cause of an effect. So if A, my presumed cause, then B, and if A, my presumed cause, not B, is a full, null, and alternative hypothesis. And when you vary A, either it will validate the alternative hypothesis, or when you vary A, it will validate the null. So it's going to validate one or the other of them. That's why the scientific method offers empiricism. Something you wouldn't have the slightest idea about when you talk about getting the best idea about what you can bullshit about. Science offers empiricism, love. You wouldn't have the slightest clue.
You know, we're at a kind of rough time historically where it's never been truer that anybody can say anything and everybody's got a platform.
So, sorry, what is this? Defund the media? We aren't this either. This isn't me walking into some museum wearing horns and saying defund the media. This isn't me. Why is this in a Flat Earth Strawman video? Why are you bundling me with all these other dickheads?
And so how do you discriminate between what's true and what's just some guy's idea or gal?
What, your ideas that you've just told us very literally in the last sentence is your path to finding what the best idea about what you're bullshit about is? Well, if you've got science, you've got empiricism behind your claims, love. That's how you do it. There you go. Didn't take long.
Idea, and at the same time, it's kind of stakes have never been higher for our...
Yeah, whatever.
It highlights her political viewpoint very clearly in those pictures. So to me, the whole thing does look like a very well constructed, paid NASA democratic attack. And I think maybe the group they were talking about earlier, Nathan, could have been Christian Republicans, because that seems to be how she finished her attack.
It's just, in this instance, when you say, oh, she didn't put up those images, it wasn't having to pay off government officials to spin this narrative about a different group that isn't flat earthers into your rhetoric, love. It took an editor, the guy who made this video at BuzzFeed, and that person will have been paid also. Yeah, you see how all of this money is being poured into this end result of you poisoning the well, burning straw men, and propping up certain government-based narratives. You notice that? Yeah? That hasn't occurred to you, you know? No, but it wouldn't possibly be the case that we'd have government officials paid off. Absurd. So another massive thank you to all of you. Smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff.